Welcome to TSFA's virtual learning session. I'm Diana Nordman, TSFA's Executive Director. We're pleased to offer this virtual learning session, which is made possible by our Texas Floral Education underwriters. TSFA's virtual learning session will be archived and made available on tsfa.org, and then you can locate it by clicking on the TSFA On Demand tab. Today's session, Surviving a Corona Summer, is presented by Derrick Myers, who has an incredible depth of knowledge about the floral industry. And at the end of his presentation, he will answer questions. So please type your questions in the chat tab below. We're delighted he will be sharing his knowledge with us today. Welcome, Derrick.
Thank you very much, Diana. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to start by introducing myself a little bit. I know Diana said who I am, but I'm Derrick. I'm with Crockett Myers & Associates. We are a accounting, business consulting, and coaching firm for florists. So we've been working with florists for, since 1983. What is that, like 37 years? So 37 years we've been working with florists. And our goal is to help florists become more profitable. So we help them use their financial statements, understand them, and be able to, analyze them in a way that they can help make decisions that are going to make them more profitable, make them more money as they go through business. So our goal is to help florists make more money, and that's what we really try to do. So today I want to talk a little bit about what's going to go on with this summer, what we can kind of expect. So we're calling this Surviving the Corona Summer. We all know the coronavirus has had a major impact on business. And when it first hit, we were all talking about, we figured we're going to see a 50% decline in sales. We were figuring March, April, May, and at least June, possibly even July, we were going to see a 50% drop in sales. Well, thankfully, that's not what we're seeing. Because of the ability to do no-touch delivery and because our internet business has been picking up and kind of helping us, we're not seeing it quite as bad as we initially thought. So here's what we've kind of seen so far. January and February, the year started out great. Most shops were up. We were looking really good. We hit March. Of course, the corona, depending on where you were, anywhere from about the 10th of March up to about the 24th of March, we started seeing closures in businesses and things changing and the social distancing coming into place. So we saw a decline in sales in March, probably to the tune of about 15%, maybe 20%. So when we look at January, February, and March as a whole, the first quarter, it was only down about 8%. Wasn't that bad. April, depending on where you were, you could have been destroyed. Like in New York, they were completely shut down. There was nothing going on. Business was zero for the entire month of April. The average was a decline of about 35 to 40% though. So April was the hardest hit month. Easter was stronger than normal. Again, the internet started picking up for us. And by Mother's Day, the internet was picking up in full swing. Shops that had a good internet presence ended up with May being up. So Mother's Day was up for a lot of florists. So year to date, where does it all shake out to be? As of right now, I have florists that are in the same place. Their sales year to date are the same as they were last year, even with all this corona stuff going on. The average is probably a decline of about 10%. Not terrible. So most shops have been able to survive this very well so far. The question is now, what's going to happen during the summer? And this is where I think we're going to see things could get really bad for some shops, and others are going to continue to survive fairly well. The ones that are going to get hurt are the ones that are really heavy into events, because events are still not happening like they were before. We're still seeing a big, depression in the event market. We're starting to see some getting scheduled for late summer, early fall, but we're also seeing upticks in virus, new cases and stuff as we've kind of opened up the country a little bit. So we don't know if they're going to clamp back down on us again and kill off some of these upcoming events. So it's a big unknown. It's a big unknown. The area that's still going to do well through all of this is the internet. When people are trapped at home and they can't get out and they can't see people and they can't visit people, they're shopping online. And the internet has been extremely strong for flower sales in the last month or so. Even June up to date is holding up very well because of internet sales. So if you've got good internet sales, you're holding on pretty well. If you're big into events, you're probably getting hurt a little bit. So my suggestion would be in your planning strategies, make sure you're marketing your internet position well enough that you're capturing some of this market and keeping yourself busy during the summer. Okay, so that's kind of what we're seeing for where things are right now, what we're seeing in the summer. All right, so like I said, I'm Derrick. Here's my contact information if you need it. So I'm sure the program will be available. So my contact information's in there if you'd like to talk to me about anything. Be glad to help you with whatever I can. So during this summer, here's the number one thing you've got to do. Keep your cash. Your cash is going to be the most important thing you have in the next 6 months, and we need to protect our cash. We need to make sure we have the money to do what we need to do when we need to do it. Right now, it's been kind of interesting because a lot of shops actually have more cash than they normally would this time of year because of the loans and things, the PPP loans, the EIDL loans. So if you have access to those, your cash is probably looking pretty good, but you need to hang on to it. Just because you get money, don't be in a hurry to pay things off, buy new things, do stuff. Let's keep it to run the business on and get us through the next 6 months. It's really what the purpose of this money is. Okay, so how do we keep our cash? How do we protect it? The first thing is talk to your vendors, and I don't just mean your hard good vendors and your flower vendors. I mean everybody. Talk to your landlords. Talk to your phone companies. Talk to your utility companies. See what they can offer you in terms of delay, discounts, delayed payments, or possibly even skipping payments and eliminated payments. But a lot of florists have worked with their landlords and were able to skip rent for a couple of months during all of this. So work with your vendors and your landlords and so on. Find out who you can get to reduce your fees, to reduce your cost, so that you don't have to spend this money out. Even if they're delaying it and going to pay you pay them later, that's better than getting rid of that cash now. Let's hang on to that cash. Put off any unnecessary purchases. If you don't need to buy stuff now, if it's something you can wait on it. Again, hang on to that cash. We don't want to get rid of it. And if you haven't already, take advantage of the loans and grants that are out there. Right now, the PPP loan is an amazing loan. It's a payroll protection plan loan. And basically what it's designed to do is give you money to hire your people back. So as your business picks back up, now they don't want you to hire them just because you're for no reason, but as your business picks up, they want you to hire your people back, and they're going to give you the money to pay them. It's free. If you spend it on payroll, you don't have to pay it back. There's all kinds of rules. I'm not going to get into all that now because it's very complex. But basically, as long as you spend more than 60% now on payroll, and the other 40% is it can be on rent and utilities and interest on notes and some other things, leases and things. As long as you spend those money on approved things, that loan is completely forgiven. And it can be a substantial amount of money. Now, there is the issue that it is going to be taxable, even though they said originally the proceeds were not going to be taxable. The proceeds in a roundabout way are going to be taxable now because the IRS is not going to allow you to deduct the expenses you pay with the forgiven money. So it's the same as making the forgiven money taxable. That's their new plan. Hopefully that's going to be reversed, but it hasn't yet. So I thought maybe with this new passing of the amended laws they just did, they were going to fix that, but they did not. So it may end up staying taxable. The other loans out there are the EIDL loans. That's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This loan is a fantastic long-term loan. It's the best financing you're probably going to ever see as a business owner. It's a 30-year fixed note at 3.75% interest, and you don't make any payments for the first year. So it's one of the best financing terms you're going to find for a business. Now, it can't be used to refinance long-term debt, but it can be used to carry you through the summer, to pay all of your expenses, to make payments for you on loans. It can be used to pay off short-term debts like immediate credit cards and vendor payables and things like that. So you can use that money for all those purposes. Also, look at your states. A lot of states have grants. I believe Texas has some grants going on. They might be done already, but they had some grants as well. So take advantage of all the stuff, get all the money you can to help carry you through this season, because we don't know if we're going to be shut down again, or if we're on the way out of this thing, or if they're going to have a vaccine anytime soon. So hanging on to your cash is going to be crucial. Okay. Next, let's use up your inventories. Right now is the time to clear away old inventory and containers and stuff like that. If you've got, every florist I've ever been into, there's the back rooms, the store rooms, the closets, the bathrooms piled up with old containers and old vases and old stuff. Use it up right now. One of the things that we're having right now that's really helping us, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. Oops, yeah, I did. Never mind. We'll talk about it later. But people are becoming more open to different things right now, where they're kind of open to new product and whatever's available. So use up these containers. Use up your old stuff. Talk to your wholesalers. Find out how availability of product, what it's going to look like in the next few months. One of the problems that we've seen recently is that, when all this first started, the coronavirus stuff first started, a lot of wholesalers shut down, closed down for a while, and product availability got difficult for a while. So it's starting to come back. Most product is starting to come back, be available, but quality hasn't been all that great. So talk to your wholesalers, find out what product's going to be available, how easy it's going to be, what kind of lead time you need to order it, and again, only buy it as you need it. Let's not be stocking up, 6 or 12 months of containers unless we know we're not going to be able to get those again. If there's a product, if there's a problem getting it in the future, then go ahead and get it now. But otherwise, hang on to the cash. It's more important to have the cash available and then buy your product as you need it. Unless you're getting really, really big discounts, or unless it's going to be hard to get that product again, go ahead and delay that purchase and only buy what you need. Keep hold of your cash to get through the system. Along with the same lines, delay any equipment purchases. If you've got any big equipment that you need, new vehicles, new coolers, anything like that, new computer systems, if you don't need them right at this moment, if your car's still running, if the vehicles are still running, I would delay those purchases at least until the end of the summer. Let's see how things are going to play out a little bit. Push them off as long as you can. Once we see where this all settles out, we might find that, hey, we have all the cash we need. Life is great. We can go ahead and buy all this stuff. But in the meantime, let's hold off on this. If you have to buy them, make sure you take advantage of financing agreements and terms right now. So let's not be using all of our cash. Let's go ahead and finance them, and we can always pay it off in the future. Most loans nowadays, and you want to make sure of this when you get it. Make sure there's no prepayment penalties, and if you have the cash after 6 months from now, if you have the cash, then go ahead and pay it off. But in the meantime, don't use your cash right now. Make sure we hang on to that. All right, manage payables. Accounts payables and credit cards right now are also one of the problems that we're going to see. We have to pay them. We need to keep them current as best we can. I mean, we want to talk with our vendors, stretch it as far as we can, but we do want to keep them current. But one thing we don't want to do is take a bunch of cash and pay them off. So if we have credit cards, and let's throw numbers out. Let's say you have a credit card and it's got $50,000 on it, and you had some extra money, be it because of you had, the profitability and you got some PPP money and you used that for paying payroll. So you have some extra money now. You want to pay down these credit cards. Well, it's great to pay them off. I mean, it's wonderful, but you have two problems. One is you pay it off and your cash is gone. So you don't have cash to do something else. Well, fine. You got a credit card, hopefully, and you can recharge. The problem is we don't know what's going to go on with banking and lenders in the next 6 months. With all the things that are changing, I got a feeling we're going to be seeing commercial properties drop. We're going to see a lot of vacant properties, commercial. And I think some lending might dry up a little bit or tighten up. So what we don't want to have happen is we pay off this credit card for 50 grand, and then then we go to borrow it, and the bank says, "Oh, we're sorry, we cut your credit line down to 10,000." So now you've used all your cash and you have a very small credit line. So credit cards and credit lines, they can change those balances anytime they want, or the available credit line anytime they want. So if we pay it all down, spend all of our cash, they could take them away or reduce them to the point where we won't have any money left. So don't be too quick to pay those down. Hang on to them, getting through things. All right, that's pretty much it on cash flow. Let's talk a little bit about product offerings and sales things. One of the things that we're seeing right now, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, consumers are more flexible right now than they have ever been. Basically, they're calling up and they're saying, whatever you have, send it out. Just make it pretty. Let the designers do their thing. And that kind of flexibility is wonderful. It gives us the ability to take advantage of that and start to limit our offerings a little bit. One of the problems florists have, and it drives me crazy, is that I go to their website and there are thousands of choices for arrangements. And that's too much. It's too much. I mean, people get confused, people get lost in there looking through things, and it's too much stuff. Let's start paring down our offerings and limit things down. And let's focus more on some designer choice arrangements. Let's get our designers, let's let them do what they do. If we can get our salespeople to sell designer choice arrangements, get designer choice arrangements prominently placed on our websites, we'll start to sell more designer choice. Well, why would we want to do that? Well, one reason is then we can sell what product we have. If it's designer choice, then the product is whatever we have in the core. We can do what we can spend what we want. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to enable us to use our products that we were talking about, getting rid of those old containers and using things like that. Repurposing things and moving them out the door, getting rid of them. All of that is going to help us not spend as much money on product, not have as many different offerings. If we have less different offerings of product, then we're going to have less waste when it comes to flowers. We'll be able to use everything up and it'll be much more profitable. That's pretty much what happened to us in May. May was beautiful. We had, people didn't ask for specific arrangements. They said, what do you have? We'd tell them what we have, they'd buy it. It was wonderful. But they're still in that flexible mindset right now. They still know, they've still seen the images of all these flower fields being plowed over and all of this stuff being thrown away and discarded is still in their minds. It's still prominent in their mind. So they're still flexible right now. And it's easy for you to say, hey, we have this availability. We have these flowers available, but not this one. And they're more open to substitution and just, being a little bit more pliable right now. So that kind of, let's take advantage of this and let's start promoting more our designer choice kind of arrangements. And let's make sure our salespeople know what's in the cooler and they're selling that. If they tell people, hey, we have these gorgeous, ranunculus or whatever that just came in today, they're beautiful. And if they sell them right, they're going to sell everything in the cooler. But if they let the consumer drive them and say, I want to, whatever off your website, then we're not going to be able to control and sell everything that we want to sell out of our coolers. So try and get them to sell from the coolers, and limit your offerings on your website. Start paring things down. Make it easier to sell what you have. And again, like I was saying, talk to your wholesalers. Make sure you know what's going to be available, and prepare your people for substitutions. Let your customers know, hey, right now this is available, but we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. We don't know where things are going to be. So keep them thinking that there's availability issues, even if they're not there, just so we have that flexibility. All right, employees. Pretty much the last section I want to talk about here today is employees, and then we can have some questions and answers. But let's talk about employees. One of the things that I noticed, again, May was one of those amazing months. But in the last few months, since the coronavirus started, I have seen florists operating with the lowest level of employees I've ever seen. A lot of shops during May, they were probably running with 1/3 of their staff that they normally have. So, and yet sales were almost the same. So sales were virtually the same. Staff was about 1/3. Now, a lot of that happened because we didn't have to have retail. We didn't, so we didn't have to have, staff our retail departments, so that staffing wasn't necessary. Phone sales were, again, limited because most people were buying through the internet. So we had less salespeople, being done through the internet. Our designers seemed to step up and really, really crank out a lot of work. And we worked with the lowest level of employees I'd ever seen. So my recommendation to you is, now that you've done that, let's not rush to hire everybody back. One of the concerns is, my concern is that the PPP money has everybody thinking, oh my God, I got to hire everybody back so I can spend this PPP money. And granted, when it was 8 weeks, you pretty much had to do that. Now they've extended the PPP terms to 24 weeks. So you have 24 weeks to spend that on payroll. And you only have to spend 60% of it on payroll. So if in 24 weeks you can't spend 60% of that PPP money in payroll, something's wrong, because it was only 2.5 months of payroll to begin with. So you don't have to rush to hire everybody back now. We've got time. So my suggestion is, now take the time to build your A-team. Okay, now, if any of you have seen my A-team class before, basically building an A-team, what we're talking about is different kinds of employees, but really we want to just bring back our best people. Those people who we had that, didn't have the right attitudes, they were nasty and crabby and grouchy and grumpy and just mean to people, don't bring them back. Now's the time. Like I said, now's the time to build your A team. So what we're talking about is attitude, attitude, attitude. Your A team is all about attitude. And if we build the right team, they're going to take you wherever you want to go. So if you want to be the best, the known for your best customer service, you want to have the best customer service of any flower shop, then you need to hire people who are great at customer service. Bring back only people who have that same goal in mind. They're with you in that goal. They want to grow and take care of people and give that customer service. As long as they do, they're going to be the right people. So the way we do this is we grade all of our people. So if you're going to bring somebody back, first thing you need to do is grade them before you even think about bringing them back. So we grade them A, B, C, D. And if you went to school back when grades, it used to be A was the best and B was a little bit less and then C was a little bit less and then D was the worst, and it actually went to E and F. Back when they used to grade people, now everybody's the same, I think. I don't know how it works anymore. But basically our A people are our best. So what's an A person? An A person is someone who has phenomenal skills. So if they're a salesperson, they're a great salesperson. If they're a designer, they're your best designer. Okay, they're really good. And being a good designer doesn't just mean they're artistic. It means they can make a great, beautiful product with the right amount of product in it for the price you're selling it, so that you make the right amount of money on it. Okay, so it's not all about the look. It's about the look and the profit. Okay, so a person is greatly skilled. They're very good. They're the best skilled people. And then the A person also is going in the same direction as you're going. So basically, in Good to Great, they talked about being on the same bus. Basically, they're going in the same direction, the same bus. They're heading in the same destination that you're going. So if your goal as a company is to be the best in customer service, they are great at customer service. If your goal is to be the premier wedding shop in the area, that's what their focus is. They love weddings and they love working on weddings, and that's where they want to go. So they want to go to the same place as you. So they have the right attitudes. They're heading in the same direction as you. They're greatly skilled. Those are your A people. The next group down are your Bs. Okay, Bs are great. Okay, they're the ones with the right attitudes and heading in the same direction. The only thing is their skills are a little bit weak. So their skills, they're not the greatest designer, but they're good. Okay, but skills are easily trained. It's easy to teach more skills and to bring somebody up in skill level, much more so than it is to get their attitudes in line with yours. Okay, or to get them their attitudes correct and get them following in the same direction as you. It can be done, but it's not as easy as developing skills. The next person we have are our Cs. Now, these are very common. I see this a lot in flower shops, too often, in fact. Cs are those people who have good skills. They're great skills, kind of like an A. They're good designers. They're good salespeople, but their attitudes are terrible. They're, we call them maybe the prima donna designers, or maybe they're just grouchy and they just don't get along with people, and they butt heads with everybody, and they're just not team players. These C's, they're a cancer in your business, because bad attitude is contagious. Unfortunately, it doesn't work the other way around. If you have people with great attitudes and positive people, that doesn't rub off on the C's. It's the other way around. The good people, the A's and B's, they get discouraged and disgusted by the C's. And quite often what happens is your great people leave because they don't want to work with the C's. And that's just the way it is. So if you want to keep your really, really good people, you got to get rid of the people who aren't really, really, really good. Okay. And then finally we have our D's. And I always joke about D's because D's don't have any skills and they got bad attitudes and they're nasty people. So why do we ever get a D? And I always say, here's how we get D's. It's February 12th. Okay. That's the answer. It's February 12th. And we need somebody to answer the telephones. If somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, I want a job, you're hiring them. If they're breathing, you're hiring them. You don't look at their skill level, their qualities or qualifications or whatever. We need that body in the store. So we hire them. The problem with florists is florists are too nice. So a D will come in your store, February of last year, February of this year, you still have them. February of the next year, you still have them. We need to get rid of our season Ds. Okay. You should not have any season Ds in your shop. If you do, if you have anybody that anybody says, man, their attitude is terrible, they're nasty, they're hard to deal with, don't bring them back. Now's your chance to keep them gone. Okay. That's pretty much it, guys. If you do these few things, I really think you'll make it through the summer really well. Love to answer any questions you have, but that's pretty much what I got for you today.
Thank you, Derrick. We do have a question. Should we apply for a loan to make certain we have enough cash on hand? And if we do, is there a recommended amount or percentage that we should apply for?
Well, right now, my recommendation is apply for as much as you can get, honestly. We don't know, like I said, we don't know what the next 6 months is going to look like, even a year. We don't know. They're talking about possibly having a vaccine, but they're saying it could be, a year before we get one. So I think we're going to see restricted business. Things are going to be difficult for a while. I know right now, if you haven't already got the EIDL loan, that would be the one I would go after, and the PPP loan. I'd make sure you have both of those. There is no restriction to having both. You can have both. The only thing is, if you get the EIDL loan, there's up to a $10,000 grant that comes with that, and that grant will reduce the amount of forgiveness you get on your PPP loan. So you can't kind of double dip on that. They're going to give you $10,000 as a grant. You can't get that free off of your PPP loan as well. So there is a little bit of overlap there. But yeah, I would go after those two loans. Those are great loans right now. Probably the best thing we're going to see in a long time. And the EIDL loan can be up to $200,000. And it's based on their formulas they use, based on sales and whatnot. Most of the numbers I've seen have been up to $150,000 is what most shops have been getting. So you can borrow up to $150,000 is what I've been seeing. And you can pick a number anywhere on a sliding scale from 0 to that number, whatever number they tell you you get. So you can pick whatever you want. I would recommend taking it all, because the thing that works really well on these, neither one of these loans have any prepayment penalties. So if you take the loans and you say 6 months from now you don't need them, well, you can pay that all back. You just take that money and just give it back to them. You will pay a little bit of interest on it, but it's very low cost interest. The PPP loan is a 1% loan. So if you don't get the forgiveness on that, it's only 1%, and it's spread out over 5 years now. So it's a 5-year loan at 1% interest for the PPP. So even if you didn't use any of it for payroll or the purposes you're supposed to use it for, the worst case is it becomes a loan that you pay back over 5 years at 1% interest. Not bad. The EIDL loan is a $150,000 up to $200,000 loan, paid over 30 years at 3.75% interest, which you're not going to find rates any better than that. So my recommendation would be borrow everything you can right now, as long as there's no prepayment penalties on it, which those two loans don't have. Check into grants, anything like that offered by the state, or even your counties and localities, cities are even offering special grants and things. So check into all of those things, and but borrow what you can, have it on reserve, have it in reserve, and if you need it, you have it.
We received another question. Do we know tax issues on the PPP loan?
Yes, right now the tax, as it stands right now, the IRS is taking the position that it's kind of a back-ended position. The forgiveness is not taxable as income, okay? But whatever you spend the forgiven money on is not deductible. So for example, if you have a $100,000 PPP loan and you use $75,000 to pay for payroll and $25,000 to pay for rent, that $75,000 worth of payroll is not deductible, and the rent is not deductible, which is the equivalent of making the PPP loan forgiveness taxable. That's the position the IRS is taking right now. Hopefully that's going to be reversed, but that's where we are. Any other questions?
No, I don't have any additional questions. I don't see that. If anybody has any additional questions, you could either type it in the chat, or we can unmute the mic and you can ask it personally.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any discussion, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, even if it's something we didn't talk about here today, I mean, I'd be glad to talk.
Okay.
Well, I don't see any others, Derrick, coming in. Thank you so very much for your very important information. You are right on target with everything, and we appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is going to be archived along with your contact information. So if our attendees on the webinar today or viewing it later need anything, I think they will be able to reach out to you that way.
Okay. Absolutely. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, they can definitely give me a call or email, whatever. And
perfect.
Thank you all. And I hope you all have a wonderful summer. I hope it's better than we're hoping. You know, like I always say, plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I'm hoping it's a good one. Well, we'll see.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well. Thank you.